Now entering Nerdist.com.
Hello there and welcome to Today We Learn. Hope you guys are doing well today. Unfortunately, this is the third week in a row that I, Dan Casey, will not be on this podcast. You know, guys, sometimes life has a way of catching up with you, and let's just say I've been busy. If life were a swimming pool, I would be drowning in work right now. But you know what? I'm treading water. I promise I will be back lickety-split. But you know what? We've got a great podcast for you today. Because not only is Razzle here, but also the wonderful Matt Kirshen. He's a hilarious guy. He's been on this podcast before. You may know his podcast, Probably Science. He's filling in for me. Hilarious comedian. Check him out. And it's a super international episode because today we have Swedish podcaster extraordinaire, the host of Varvet International. You guys, if you don't know this guy already, you're going to lose your mind because he's a super cool guy, and I think that you guys are really going to dig what we have in store for you. So let's get right to the chase, shall we? Today we learned number 82 with Kristoffer Triumf.
Today we learned. Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of... I always start off like it's like a game show for some reason. It's like a...
You started with a bit of a laugh as well.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you just caught me unawares.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just hanging out in my little radio studio. And, oh, what's this? A podcast suddenly happening? Who saw that happen?
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, obviously, my name is Razzle, and you're listening to another episode of Today We Learn. Dan is still at South by Southwest doing very cool things. So filling in for him today is, you've heard him before on this show, is a very funny stand-up comedian, and he also is a podcast himself. Incredibly Science? Probably Science. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Kirshen.
Thank you, Razzle. How are you, man?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's nice to be back.
Likewise. And we have a wonderful guest from across the pond, as they say, very talented podcaster, up for a prestigious journalism award over there. He's got a Swedish podcast called Varvet and Varvet International, and he's nominated for Innovator of the Year for the Stora Journalist Preset Award, which is pretty much like the Pulitzer over on this side. Ladies and gentlemen, we are very happy to bring into the studio over here Kristoffer Triumf.
Thank you. What a great presentation.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
I've practiced that 9 times.
You did?
Yeah, just 9.
Fantastic. Can I have a little bit of... I don't hear you guys so well.
You are... How about that? Check.
Oh, perfect.
Check. There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you. You'd be smart not to hear us. At least me, anyways.
Well, it's going to be hard to have a conversation otherwise, I would assume.
I've always wondered why we need... I know why the engineer needs headphones, but we are sitting literally 2 feet from each other, tops.
Yeah.
I think we're in a circle. Well, we're currently in a little triangle of maybe a meter's radius.
Yeah. We really don't need the headphones.
It would be almost insulting if we were talking in a bar and I put headphones on a microphone to your mouth. Why?
But for me it feels like home. I need to. We're recording.
It feels professional. Yeah,
exactly.
So how does this, as far as your podcast goes, do you is it kind of like a similar setup, or do you have the headphones and you have the microphone, or what's your type of scenario over there?
I don't have an engineer.
Okay,
that's a really cool thing. Congratulations on making it this big. Yeah.
We should point out that you're probably imagining Aristotle here as a sort of audio engineer, but actually he's a train engineer. He has no idea what he's doing with equipment. He's wearing a helmet and he's got a bucket of coal.
He's got some striped
is that a hard hat?
Bibs? Yeah. What's the bibs? What
I don't know, like overalls or something?
Yes. He's got striped train overalls
and a whistle. So so how many record when you do your show?
It's just me and a guest. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And I do normally I do it in a really I mean the sound back home is really bad because I have perhaps 10 feet to the ceiling at least. Oh, wow. And it's all wood. It's like wood all around. Yeah. So it's like and it's gigantic. So we're in the middle of a super big room. And the reason for that is that it's an old painter's loft or something. It's not a loft, but
That's great, but also terrible for sound, but great.
yeah, exactly. It's fantastic. It's a creative room, but just bad for podcasting. And when I'm here in the US, I tend to sort of just rent a place on Airbnb and see what the sound is like, and it's often really terrible. So like now I'm staying on Doheny, which I thought was sort of a cool little street, but it's really, I mean, it's like a highway out there. So the traffic is bad, but I get great interviews anyway. But it's going to be hard for my engineer back home. Yeah. I have an engineer, but she doesn't sit with us when I interview.
Okay, really cool.
That's a really long, very uninteresting reply to the question.
Oh no, we have a vast amount of our listeners are just interested in the math of podcasting,
Mechanics.
the mechanics.
Can I ask you where's your accent from?
I'm from London.
Okay, all right.
So yeah, I was a bit insulted that you got a across the pond description, and I just.
Oh yeah, but you live here.
I do live here now, but you're sort of across the pond and then up a bit.
And I would assume that across the pond, it sounds like a really British expression.
Yeah, I always assumed across the pond. Across the pond gets used mostly for England and America.
Yeah,
because you got to do. Can you just go across one pond, or do you have to go across like a double pond to get to Sweden?
No, it's the same pond.
It's the same pond, isn't it? But can you? I'm trying to work out where there's a landmass in the way. No, you can just go in a straight line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we'll have a great view of Greenland. But I assume you have that as well when you come from London.
I think so, because we kind of go over the top, don't you? Kind of, it's that big arc that goes over the...
Why don't they fly like over the North Pole? That would be much cooler.
I think they pretty much do. I mean, they go pretty close to the Arctic Circle when they're flying from America to Europe, because they take that sort of big arc over the top. And isn't there a thing where pilots and cabin crew get exposed to quite a bit of radiation over the course of their career?
I didn't know.
And I think that's partly, and this is sketchy memory. Yeah. But I think it's partly that the radiation that comes from the sun, apart from anything else, and just from space, gets, because of the magnetic field of the Earth, hits the top of the Earth and gets spread around, but is concentrated at the top around the pole. So there's more radiation around the poles, and the pilots, and also in the upper levels of the atmosphere, and the pilots fly straight through that.
Yeah,
because the sun always shines on either top, or?
Well, no, it's because so the Earth is basically like a big magnet, has a big magnetic field, and if you imagine, like, you know, when you see the drawings of a magnet, and you see the lines of magnetic field coming out from the top of it in these little arcs.
Yes.
So if you imagine that's where the Earth is, and imagine now. Various radiation thingies are hitting the Earth and are being spread around along those fields. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the picture of that field, it's kind of concentrated on the top and on the bottom.
Okay.
So there's a higher concentration of
I could see that
radiation around the poles.
Well, I was just reading about.
Does that make sense? Does that make any sense?
No, it makes. Well, I mean, because
this could be full on bullshit. By the way, this is Today We Learned, and and I'm giving you. Today I sketchily remember stuff from 15 years ago.
Most of the facts on this that I provide are always like, I think I've heard this. I think I've read this somewhere. Well, Aurora Borealis, what is that? That's the Northern Lights, but
that is the same deal. Yeah, that's caused by radiation hitting the magnetic fields.
Correct. So in theory, if those are visible, you're going through, just think of all
I think it's also just a height thing. I think also just being the lower down you are, the more you're protected from various radiation by the atmosphere.
Do they have Aurora Borealis? I pronounced that perfect, right?
Yeah. Great.
Do they have that down south as well? Or is it just...
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
It's called something else. It's called Aurora... I can't remember what the word is.
I've never been on the south hemisphere.
Never anywhere in the southern hemisphere?
No.
You must have some Australian listeners to your podcast.
Oh, I think so. Yes.
I know for everything else, just Scandinavians get everywhere. There must be.
They do. Yeah. I have listeners all over the world, but I haven't been.
You should organize an Australian tour.
Yeah, perhaps. I'm a little bit afraid of Australia. I was traumatized by an ex-girlfriend who was from there. So we'll see about that.
Does she live there now?
Yes.
She lives she lives everywhere. The Aurora Borealis in the south is actually Aurora Australis.
There we go.
So
okay.
Have you seen? Are you far enough north where you live to actually see Aurora sometimes?
I don't think so. No.
Have you ever seen them?
Yes.
Where were you when you saw?
I would assume that it was because I've been to the north of Sweden on a couple of times for work and so forth. So I would assume it was on one of those trips, but I'm not really sure. I might have made it up. But let's say that I've seen it.
Okay.
It's hard for you guys to prove not. Right?
I love that philosophy. Yeah. I'm going to just start. I like that. Like, prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Prove to me that I haven't seen this or that I haven't been to this place.
Exactly.
Yeah, I saw a polar bear kill a hippo. What are you?
Yeah.
That happens in Sweden all the time. It's the number one crime thing.
Like I've been to Australia, and your ex-girlfriend still talks about you.
She does.
Yeah.
Prove him wrong.
Prove me wrong.
Yeah, I mean, she might be traumatized by me as well. I'm not sure.
She's a huge fan of your podcast.
Perhaps. I wouldn't know.
Is your podcast always in Swedish, or do you do English episodes sometimes?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's what brings me here. Is that I for 3 years now I've been doing a podcast in Sweden and in Swedish, of course, and it's been doing really, really, really well. And like 1.5 years ago, I was like, I need a new challenge. And I was coming here often for vacation to LA. So, and I was sort of waiting for a TV deal that it just never happened.
Right.
So I was sort of getting frustrated. And then it dawned on me, why don't I try to do what I do in Swedish, but in English, because it's going to be a huge challenge since it's not my native tongue.
Yeah. Right. And is that the international version of the podcast?
Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah. So I launched that last August. So it's been it's like 6 or 7 months in now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Congratulations.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, it's been great fun. It's been a challenge, but it's also been. Well, I've grown a whole lot. I mean, speaking of learning stuff, I learn stuff every time I meet a new guest on the international podcast.
What's the what is something? Speaking of learning something every time you record that, what's the most recent thing that you logically or you sticks out vividly to you that you're like, oh wow, okay, as far as what you learned on doing the international podcast?
I interviewed an actor called Doug Jones. Doug is a really hard name for us to pronounce. Can you do it?
Doug. Like D-O-U-G.
Yeah.
Yeah, Doug.
Doug Jones. And he told me a little bit, because I was wondering why the Dream Factory isn't actually producing anything anymore. That you guys shoot everything in Canada and so forth. So I learned that has to do with tax issues and permits and other boring stuff, but the industry is still here. But then I'm wondering, how long will the industry be based in Los Angeles, since you're shooting everything in Canada? Why don't all the production offices move up there? I'm not sure.
Weather?
Yeah, perhaps.
Maybe. But it is interesting, like the CW, they produce most of their shows in Vancouver, so it's very much, where it's almost like this is just the hub for the suits so
Yeah.
to say, and then all the talent and all the production houses and all the the cameramen and everything are because of all the tax rebates, and it's cheaper
Yeah.
in all these other.
And other cities around America as well. There are different states that it sort of goes in various circuits. I think like where one state will suddenly decide we need to have the film industry here,
Yeah.
and they'll offer huge tax incentives,
Yeah.
and then suddenly everyone will start filming in this place.
Yeah.
Is that why Breaking Bad is based in New Mexico? Or
I think so.
yeah.
I think that was why. I think they originally wanted it in Los Angeles, I believe, but because they got tax rebates and the setting, it helped give the town its own character almost.
Yeah.
But
Speaking of learning stuff, can you remember what brand of car he drives in that?
And Breaking Bad,
Yeah.
Aztec.
Yeah, the idea was that he was to drive a Volvo first, but
Oh, really?
they thought it was too cliche for a teacher to drive a Volvo.
To drive a Volvo.
Yeah, so they chose
The
that.
Aztec,
Yeah,
the Pontiac Aztec, I believe, right?
we don't have that in Sweden, I think.
Well, it's interesting that you bring up the Volvo because one of the facts I have here is about the Volvo,
Okay.
which is a Swedish car. Mm-hmm. The Volvo Group.
Well, it's a Swedish brand, but I don't know if we produce it anymore in Sweden. But anyway,
Okay.
sorry.
No worries. The Volvo Group and Volvo Cars consider themselves to have been officially founded in 1927.
okay,
When the first car, the Volvo OV4 series, affectionately known as Jacob, rolled out of the factory in Hisingen, Gothenburg.
Yes,
And-
that's a perfect pronunciation. Yeah,
And
he's singing. We would say, yeah,
Hisingen.
yeah, perfect.
And Volvo means I roll in Latin,
Yes.
which comes from Volvere because they originally started as a ball bearing factory, I believe. Mm-hmm. And apparently, anyone can purchase a Volvo in the United States and get a free trip to Sweden to tour the factory and test drive your car before it gets shipped to the United States.
no.
Yes, and
Wait a second.
yeah, that's what I said. And according to VolvoCars.com, the Volvo website, they have a whole page dedicated to this for overseas delivery. It says, "Go on the adventure of a lifetime. Take a vacation where the souvenir is part of an unforgettable experience.
Wait a second. Do they cover your flight?
Purchase a Volvo, get a vacation." Yes, you get a.
Oh, okay. You actually need to buy the Volvo first.
You have to buy the Volvo.
This isn't just like I'm thinking about buying a Volvo, and then they fly you to Sweden to look at the factory.
No, you have to buy the Volvo, and then what's included is 2 round-trip tickets to Scandinavia, first-class hotel, 1 night, and the home shipment services to your U.S. Volvo dealer.
So it's just one night. So you're gonna go like
Yeah.
14 hours on a plane,
Yeah.
sleep for 10 hours, and then
Look at a car.
look at a car, and then fly back 14 hours. Well,
It's the trip of a lifetime.
but it sounds. I mean, you should go. And I'm not just saying that being sponsored by Volvo, but yeah, you should come. But please don't come in the winter. That's what all the Swedes gonna say. But don't come in the winter.
What's the cheapest Volvo you can buy?
I would assume that it's a C30. I don't know if you've got that here.
And how? Like, I'm just trying to work out what the cost to flight ratio would be.
Yeah, and then per reselling it once you get it.
Yeah, like, could I? Because I fly back to Europe once or twice a year to see family and do gigs. I'm just wondering whether I could get one of those trips as a freebie.
Yeah. Do you have a car?
I do have a car.
Do you need to buy a new one?
Not right now. I've only had
Okay.
my car for a couple of years.
All right. Maybe you'll be. It's going to be cheaper if you keep your car.
It's currently looking that way.
It looks like the S60 might be the cheapest at $33,900. So $34,000.
That's quite a high-end car for
Yeah.
their starting point.
Absolutely. I mean, considering you can get like Chevy Cobalts for like $12,000.
Yeah, brand new. So that's all right. So
Sorry about that, guys.
I guess they keep the cheaper Volvos back for the Swedes,
Yeah.
Yeah, perhaps
for
yeah.
Europe. Do they? I wonder. Does that mean every Volvo in America has been made in Sweden and shipped over? They don't have like a local factory.
Must be.
I'm not sure. But when is it going to be my turn to?
It is your turn.
Oh, perfect. To tell my fact.
Yes.
Oh, please.
Tell your fact.
Yeah, right. Because I'm thinking. Can I ask you when I say Sweden? What do you think? What do you think? What's your top association?
When you say Sweden, first thing that comes to my mind is like, I feel like it's almost like what is that? Houses that kind of look like gingerbread types houses and hills, like Sound of Music type of like. I just picture beautiful landscape and old buildings.
Okay, so
and maybe people walking out their door singing a song and like everybody liking each other. And
so you're mixing it up with Switzerland.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
I'm not very smart. Yeah. I'm not very smart.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
I've never been to Sweden. I've been to Denmark and I've been to Finland, which flanking on either side.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Swedes really have a clash with Finland, right? There's a big.
Well, no, I love Finland. I am actually like quarter Finnish, so
okay.
Yeah. But it's not perhaps the most fun place in the world. But
A lot of saunas. They're big into their saunas.
Yeah. And if you love that, you're gonna have a good time.
But I picture like tall people, a lot of blonde tall people.
Yes.
Viking type people.
Okay.
Very like freakishly good English speakers.
Okay.
Annoyingly good at languages. I guess the obvious answer is IKEA. I'm shying away from that, but
No, but that's fine.
yeah.
But I thought that one of you would say something about depression or Ingmar Bergman or suicide. Because I thought that it was a well-known fact that we are the world champions in suicide.
Really?
I didn't know that.
But no,
I know it's very expensive alcohol in Sweden.
Yeah, and that might have to do with it.
Right.
I mean, it's too expensive to buy booze. I have to kill myself. Yeah. No. But the thing is that I just learned that it's not true. We're not number one in suicide. We think that we are, but we're actually like 57 on the world top list. So
who is number one?
Guinea. Is that how you pronounce it?
Guinea, right?
Guinea pig.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So Guinea and the North Korea and South Korea seems to be the top
Really?
self-murderers. Yeah.
Huh.
And
that's interesting. I was just reading the other day, I mean, whatever day it is. In Japan, I think it's Japan. There's Japan or China. There somewhere over there is similar to where there's like a forest where people will go and kill themselves. Like it's known as like the suicide forest type of thing.
Yeah, because India, China, US, and Russia are really they kill themselves a lot. Yeah.
So that's above. They all rank above Sweden.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And Japan also, and South Korea. Yes. So and in Europe it's Germans who kill themselves the most. But I just learned that also that the top reason here is that it has to do with gay people who can't come out.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
I'm not sure about that. It's the top.
I do know that gay young people, and particularly like even more so trans young people,
Exactly.
have a disgustingly high rate of depression and suicide compared to the general population, which is just due to that's just us being shitty people towards them. Like that's what that is. It's just
a proven fact that the human race is can treat other people shitty.
Yeah, I hope that did you see Transparent, the fantastic TV series?
I haven't seen it. Someone
yet.
just last night was
list.
raving about it to me.
Well,
it's going to have to be next on my list.
It's on my list. There's so many, especially with the capability of binge watching, to where it's on my list. Like,
but apparently, I was like, I had it in my mind that God, that's another sort of 20-hour commitment to a series. But apparently, there's just 6 episodes or 8 episodes. It's like.
Yeah, exactly. It's like 8 episodes times 40 minutes, so it's not that much.
So you could do the whole series, the whole season
an afternoon.
right?
Yeah.
Oh wow, I'll have to check those out.
And you should, and it's a really great series. I mean, it's not about a young trans person, obviously, but it's wonderful, and I hope that sort of puts the spotlight on and it sort of makes because he's a hero, sort of. He's the only sane, or she is the only sane person in that series. His kids are absolutely horrible, but he is fantastic. By the way, well, again, new fact. Did you know that we in Sweden just invented, or a couple of years ago, invented a new word that is a mix between he and she?
Oh, like a new pronoun?
Exactly.
What is it? And what is he and she in Swedish as well?
It's han och hon. Han is he. Hon is she.
Okay.
And the new word is hen, like hen. Yeah, like a chicken.
Hen,
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
So hen is a neutral pronoun.
Exactly.
That's
wow.
great.
That's great.
That's something that language really needs, because in English you either have options like they, which is not really satisfying because it's sort of a weird plural for a singular person.
Yeah.
So people go, like, if you don't know, you go like, yeah, they are doing this, but talking about one person. Or there's a few gender neutral pronouns that have come more into use, but it's like Z and.
I haven't heard these.
Yeah, there's
these. I've only heard like
and
the.
her with like HIR.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a few that various people who are like either trans or genderqueer or somewhere on the spectrum that isn't, like, somewhere non-binary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Various people have like these are my preferred pronouns.
Okay.
But there's no sort of consensus and there's no general usage, and it's on us, I think. It's on us as non-trans people to sort of go, oh, yeah, okay, well, that's what you want. We should do that.
Yeah.
It's still, because it's not a common word, there's still a little bit of it where it's tricky. There's sort of almost a verbal block where you're like, I got to remember to say this every time. Whereas if there was just this useful, very common usage,
Yeah, absolutely.
this is just a way of...
Wouldn't, I mean, in the end, though, I mean, and this is, this could just be me being ignorant, but shouldn't we just address them as what they see themselves as, type of a thing? Do you know what I mean? Like, so if it's a guy trans into a female,
Yeah,
right,
well, I
then
think...
they're a her, right?
It's not. It doesn't have to be that way, because I mean, many. I have to say two things about this. First off is that I'm not sure that it's always like that. Because maybe, I mean, many trans people are straight as well, as I've understood.
Well, sexual orientation and gender identity are separate issues. So yeah, you can be straight or you can be straight, gay, bi, or whatever, and you can also be anywhere along the gender spectrum, and they don't necessarily mesh in any way.
Very good put, and very well put. And also I have to say that it's not only about gender neutrality, it's also when it's for some reason, if you're going to say that you are going to talk about the pilot, but you don't know if the pilot is
right, which is the situation where in English you'd say they. Like, the pilot should be here any second, and they'll be taking the plane to where we need to go.
Okay, but in Swedish, or perhaps a doctor, you would assume that it's going to be a male doctor. But to get away from that assumption, you can use this new hen word because you don't know, and you're not going to project your preconception that it's going to be a man or a woman,
which is a very useful way to reprogram, to rethink about. That's a great example. Or where you might write he or she/she or whatever.
Yeah,
exactly.
And instead you get to just use hen.
Yeah,
exactly.
I like it.
The other thing I would say though is, and again, this is so not my world. This is all secondhand information, and I'm trying my best not to stumble into a world of screwing things up, but. In answer to your question, if someone is fully transgender, where they were identified as male at birth, but come to realize they're female and fully transition and live their life as a woman, then yes, you'd use female pronouns exclusively. But there are people who don't exist fully in the gender binary. In the same way that there are people who are attracted to different genders as well as just being exclusively straight. There are people who feel, I sometimes feel more male, sometimes feel more female, I'm sometimes somewhere in the middle. And those tend to be the people who choose pronouns that aren't like I don't like to be called he or she, I like to be called whatever.
Yeah. What would the word be in English?
Well, in that case, that's the situation where there's currently a whole category of words that...
Yeah, but if we would come up with a new one.
Oh, okay, if we were to pick one. Well, I mean, that people have already picked those words. So some of those words I mentioned, like... if you want to look up gender neutral pronouns, there's a whole list of ones that people...
Otherwise, a mix between he and she, or her and him. Him.
The one that comes up is there's definitely a Z.
Yep.
The ZE comes up just on Google right away.
Okay.
Which, I think is being picked to something that's one of the more common ones that are neither he nor her.
So the doctor,
or she rather.
So the doctor will be with you in a minute. Z is just picking up coffee.
I think it would be Z. I think is one that is specifically chosen by people who identify as somewhere towards the middle of the gender spectrum.
Okay.
So Z is something for that situation. I think if you said the doctor will be in a minute, they will be with you shortly. They are just getting a coffee. That's what you use. Or the pilot. The pilot's not here yet. They're probably stuck in traffic. We
need to find a new word.
Yeah. So it is kind of it's linguistically a bit clumsy in that we're using they, which is normally a plural pronoun, to be he or she.
That's a huge problem with like the English language is the fact that there are so many like plural pronouns or whatever that are group names that people that just because there's so many words, but we tend to use a lot of the same ones as such as
is Swedish
perfect example.
Is Swedish a gendered language? I think it is, like in the same way that French or Spanish, like a table or a chair is either masculine or feminine.
Yes, but
or neutral.
Yes, but we don't it generally no. We have the German thing where you have a neutral as well.
Right.
So
there's like der, die, das in German for...
Oh, I don't know German, but I'll take your word for it. But a chair is it's an it.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not a she or he.
Because in French as well, French was the main language we did at school.
Yeah.
When you grew up in England, that's normally like the second language that you learn. And remembering having to learn the genders of everything, like
Yeah, it's not the other way around, right? Because they hate speaking English in France.
You know what? They've got better at it.
I know.
It's kind of. I used to go there. We go quite a bit when we were kids, just because you can get to France on a ferry for like in 40 minutes from the south of England. Yeah, it's like, and then the Eurostar, so it's like a 2-hour train.
It's a tunnel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's like a 2-hour train between London and Paris. So it's easier for me. It was easier for me from London to get to Paris when we were kids than it is from, say, LA to San Francisco.
Okay. So it'd be equivalent to almost like San Diego, taking the train to San Diego.
Yeah. So we'd go there a lot. And when we were kids, it was very much like they wouldn't speak English to you. Whereas I went recently, and it was now the opposite, where I was almost a bit insulted that I tried my schoolboy French and they'd consistently reply in English.
Okay. That's a good... Well, I guess it's a good thing.
It kind of is. It was a bit annoying as well, because it's like, I'm not that bad. I mean, I'm bad, but it's like, they're like, we're going to talk to you in English now. You clearly can't do this properly.
Bonjour, baguette.
Yeah. This is hello, bread.
Yeah.
So now... Just because I have no idea about French or anything like that.
New subject.
Yeah, I'm going to bring this up because this is about you too. Now, you're nominated for the Store Journalist Preset Award.
I was, yeah.
You were?
Yeah, like 1 or perhaps 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't win. That was a bit of a shocker. I I was. How do you say it? Well, with betting services, I was
the favorite.
I was the favorite.
Oh, okay.
But the least favorite nominee won, and nobody remembers what it was, and I don't remember either because I
don't know. One Direction with the runners-up in X Factor.
Yeah.
Look at them now.
Look at them now.
You see, yeah.
Was it X Factor? One of them.
One of those. Can you only be nominated once, or is it kind of like a?
Well, it was
you get your chance, and then that's it.
It was the inventor of the year, so
Okay.
so I have to come up with something really spectacular and inventive.
Like the international version.
Well, I don't assume that's good enough for them, but but I mean, what they saw in me was that I I didn't just sort of make because the interview podcast, I mean, I didn't invent that even in Sweden, but I was the first one to do it on a large scale, and I was the first professional podcaster in Sweden, I think. But what I did was that I sort of, and I hope at least I did, sort of reinvent or I took interviews. I mean, it's very natural for you guys to have like you have 1 million podcasts like You Made It Weird or WTF where comedians talk to each other for 2 hours, and that's not a strange thing. But in Sweden there was nothing like that when not on a popular scale, not on the average Swede's radar anyway. So that was what I was nominated for, I guess. And I'm very proud of that, and I'm super happy. Although it would have been cooler to have won, perhaps. But everybody loves a first loser or runner-up as well. I guess. Underdog.
That's awesome. For those of you listening that don't know, the Stora Journalist Preset is an annual Swedish award. It was founded in 1966 by Bonnier AB, given to promote good professional achievements in the field of journalism. There are 4 categories, correct? There are the Investigation of the Year, there are Storyteller of the Year, Innovator of the Year, then Lucas Bonnier's Grand Journalism Prize.
Yes.
The award was established in 1966 by the will of Albert Bonnier Jr. From the beginning, the award was given in 2 categories, daily press and other periodical press. Now, the company that runs this, Bonnier AB, right? Bonnier AB, is a privately held Swedish media group, which they also have 175 companies operating in different countries, which recently, as recent as 2007, the Bonnier Magazine Group acquired 18. They bought 18 properties from Time Magazine Incorporated. As a result, they now own Popular Science, Field and Stream, Outdoor Life, and Popular Photography.
I hope that the listeners were paying attention because it's going to be a test at the end.
Well, every you download the podcast and a Scantron sheet. So I hope you have your number 2 pencils ready.
But it's they are truly a power family. They're also I'm not sure how many, because they are a publishing company as well, and I don't know how many Nobel Prize winners they've sort of bred. But it's a few.
That's
so as the Innovator of the Year was the award that you were up for.
Exactly.
Very
That's
cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Then, while we're on Sweden, I guess since you're here, the Coca-Cola sales apparently in Sweden dropped more than 50% during Christmas time.
Yes.
Due to a drink known as Julmust.
Yeah.
Or Julmust.
Yeah.
What is this drink?
Well, it's I would assume that it's not. It doesn't taste like root beer. But it's sort of the same idea. It's a brown, quite spicy thing that's sort of, and it's carbonated.
Okay.
And it's loads of sugar in it. I mean, yeah.
But it's just it's a Christmas thing.
Well, we drink it for Christmas and for Easter.
Okay, and is there just one brand, or do loads of different companies have versions of this drink?
Even Coca-Cola has one now.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know what it's called, but because they realized that they can't win it.
Yeah,
So-
you need to conform.
Yeah, exactly.
Yule means Christmas,
Yes.
and must, not yet fermented juice or fruit or berries.
That sounds right.
It's
I
huge,
didn't know that.
huge blanket.
Oh, that makes
Huge
sense.
blanket
Oh, like
definition.
the must that gets turned into wine.
Okay.
Grape must.
Must be.
Are there other Christmas traditions that you can think of in Sweden that we wouldn't know about in the US or America or Britain?
This isn't perhaps. I don't know how you do it in England, but we celebrate. Everything happens on the 24th.
Okay, no, that's not how we do it at all. Like
No.
everything's on the 25th in Britain.
Yeah. Okay. So that's how we do it. And but otherwise, I'm not sure. We have like a buffet on Christmas, and
But that's on the 24th. So what happens? What do you do on the 25th?
We watch Ivanhoe on television. No, that might be. That might be for New Year's, by the way. I'm not sure, but we don't really have. I think many have sort of taken up the tradition to eat turkey,
Okay.
but we don't have. I don't think that we. You know what? I think that the Christmas day might be the only day that Swedes tend to go to church.
Okay.
Because we hate God in Sweden.
It's a very secular country.
Yeah, it really
So,
is.
but there are churches there then.
Yes, but they are being sold now to rich people.
Yeah.
So they make houses out of them.
I mean, I'd love to live in a church.
Yeah, but
I mean,
come
there's some
to
nice
Sweden.
churches.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now I've tried finding out where it's at, but it's in Sweden, and there's a mirror maze in Sweden. Have you been to this mirror maze in Sweden? I can't figure out where it's at. I should have. The reason I inquire this is because one of my best friends, Paul, and his dad, they own a mirror maze company in Michigan, and they fly around and people pay them to build these amazing mirror mazes.
Okay.
And they're just they're amazing. There's one in the Mall of America. If you ever next time you're doing a show there or whatever.
That's in Minneapolis, right?
Yes. They're all over the place, and they have one. They built one in Sweden, and I was just wondering if you've ever been to it, if you know of it or if you heard of it. But
I'm
can't.
sorry, I haven't.
Yeah, but I just made me think of it right now. I'm like,
and if I have been, it looked nothing like that
one,
picture. This is good radio, right?
yeah. The listeners love when we talk about photographs.
Yeah, and not to really explain how they look.
Yeah.
But just
I might do some of my shadow puppetry now, while you guys just gasp in awe. Pretty realistic, right? That was just with my hands. I just did that with my hands. Who saw that?
Oh, that's really nice. Keep doing that with your hands.
Because I heard, I know, like, this is a country a fair distance away, but Iceland has this Christmas tradition where there's I think the 12 Yule lads who, so rather than just being visited on Christmas Eve by Santa, 12 Yule lads come on every day of Christmas, and they're dicks. Like, they're just like these sort of elves or whatever, but they're sort of malicious. Like, one of them slams doors, and one of them blows out candles. One of them steals milk from your animals.
Okay,
There's
cool.
13.
13, okay.
The Yule lads. The Icelandic children place a shoe in their bedroom window each evening in the 13 days before Christmas. Every night, one Yuletide lad visits, leaving sweets and small gifts or rotting potatoes.
Right.
Depending on how that particular child has behaved on the preceding day. Each Yuletide lad has a specific idiosyncrasy and will therefore behave in a particular manner.
Right.
So it's really, obviously, the parents, if you're a bad kid, you're getting potatoes.
Well, thanks for ruining it.
Yeah, but
Spoiler alert.
this sounds like something that Disney would pick up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
make
was
a movie out of
always
it.
thinking about maybe making a Yule Lad
We
like animation.
yeah, we shouldn't talk about this.
Yeah, let's keep this on the
anymore.
down
This will
low.
be, TM, WGA registered, YuleTideLads.com has already registered us. We'll edit all of this out so nobody steals our ideas.
But yeah, they're all sort of. Does it list on the thing you're reading? Does it list the various different?
There's 13 each Yuletide lad. Let's see here.
I sort of, it's not my show, but it's a little bit depressing for me to talk about Christmas in March. I mean, we suffer from quite grim winters
Of course,
in
yeah.
Sweden, so I have.
That's the time when
we will
you
move
all
on.
don't commit suicide, right?
Exactly.
What are the spring traditions? Is there like a harvest festival? Or I guess that would be more.
No,
Full.
we're quite big on the Easter thing.
Yeah.
Not sure why, but we do like treasure hunting for hidden candy eggs and so forth.
Right.
But then midsummer is the big thing, I would say. When we dance around this strange like penis like
Okay, like the maypole is what it is in England.
yeah, exactly.
It's like this sort of. It is all meant to be about fertility and stuff, isn't it? But it's sort of phallic.
Yeah, exactly.
It's basically a pole. Does your one have ribbons around it, and then because the English one there's ribbons around it, and they dance in in and out and weave in and out.
That's a cool thing. I've seen that on TV. No, we don't.
It's in The
do
Wicker
that.
Man, I believe.
Yeah.
There's
Right.
definitely a scene in The Wicker Man.
Oh,
where that
definitely.
Okay. No, we don't do that. We have we just dance around it, and it's sort of covered in flowers and leaves, fresh
Okay.
birch leaves. Yeah.
But that's one of those things where you sort of look at folk dancing, like, and you go, oh, that looks like, they're just doing a little dance routine,
Yeah.
and then you realize it's all about fucking.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing's actually about.
Dancing's the...
It's all a metaphor for virginity
Yeah.
and
That might be it, yeah.
reproduction and what.
The Sweden is the third largest country in the European Union by area,
Yeah.
and it has a total population of around 9.7 million.
Yeah, that sounds about right. We're close to 10 million now. Yeah, it's roughly half of LA, I guess.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a small. I didn't realize it was. I thought it was a bigger population than that.
Yeah, no, we
So
have a lot of space.
yeah, when it's the third biggest in population, but only but smaller than London, smaller than one city in population.
Yeah,
But the area is so huge.
exactly.
So is that all the northern? I guess what the northern territories of Sweden, where it just keeps going up and up.
Yeah, exactly. There's, you can go on for like 100 kilometers without seeing a house or a car.
Right.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's like the desert.
Huh. So it's kind of, almost in the sense very similar to, like, I guess, Australia, where you think it's got a lot of people, but it's really just like coastal cities. Or where
Australia's
that's
huge, but there's only people are very much concentrated around the edges.
Absolutely.
And then Canada is huge in terms of area, but only has around 13 million people, I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a massive
the
country.
major cities, but
But that's
it's-
all around the southern edges, and
Yeah.
then the further up you go, similar to Sweden, I think.
Exact.
The further up you go, the more sparse it becomes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Canada is, Canada is, what is it, like the third biggest country in the world or something?
In terms of area, that wouldn't surprise me.
Or perhaps even the second.
Well, I think Russia and Australia I would have put at the top.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong.
Canada is the world's second largest country by total area
Wow, good call.
and
Thank you.
fourth largest country by land area.
Okay, so there's the lakes in the middle. And
Okay.
so what's above it?
So countries and dependencies by area. We'll go with number 10. Let's start with 10. We'll go number 10 is Algeria.
Really? I
Number-
wouldn't have said that. I had no idea Algeria was that big.
Number 9 is Kazakhstan.
Oh, yeah, I knew that. Yeah.
8 is Argentina.
Okay.
Makes sense.
India,
Yep, that's logical.
Australia,
Australia's only number
6.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Brazil is 5.
That sounds about right. Is the USA on this list?
The United States is number 4.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, I'm getting. Is China in there?
China's number 3.
Russia?
Is number 1.
And then
And
so
Canada is number
Canada,
2.
Russia.
Canada and Russia. And then Sweden is
Number 47.
56.
Okay.
Close.
That's
Close.
pretty big.
Yeah. And then as far as land area goes, let's see if they have it here. So
Is there a correlation between how much we kill ourselves and where we are on that list? Yeah, we're 59 in the suicide list. Yeah.
Oh.
So it's
So yeah, we need to draw a little correlation of suicide rates against density population.
if
Yeah.
this, then this must mean...
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's, well, not the suicide, but just the size.
Yeah,
That's
get
interesting.
help. Get help.
Get
If anyone's
help,
feeling that
yes.
way, get help.
We're approaching our time
Yep.
here for this episode. So we'll start with you, Kristoffer. This is the time where this is your floor.
Okay.
This is your show now. So promote and discuss or talk about anything you want. Tell the listeners where they can find you on anything and etc. So forth.
okay. Very good. First of all, I don't think you should kill yourself. Get help, as you just pointed out. It's a very good idea. And also, if you are a trans person living in a small in a small town or so, move. Okay. And also, I would like you to listen to my podcast. And if you wanna, you can. You'll find it on iTunes. It's called Varvet. It sounds just as you...
Like
yeah.
VARVET.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
All right.
And for you Swedish speakers, that's the same name, but there are umlauts over the first A. Over the A. There's not 2 A's in there.
And it's Varvet International is the version that's in English.
Exactly.
Got it.
Very good.
And Varvet it's pronounced the same in Swedish.
It's called Varvet in
Varvet.
Swedish. Varvet, yeah.
And what does that mean?
I was thinking that maybe it should be named the verb in English, but I'm not sure. What does the verb mean?
There's a band called The Verve. I feel
Exactly.
like The Verve.
Sort of a feel, the feeling, the vibe,
I feel
yeah.
like.
Okay, because
With a bit of a positive name,
Yeah.
like connotation.
It's also a really, really old like record label, right?
Yep. Verve, noun, vigor or spirit, enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like synonyms could be enthusiasm or vigor, energy, pep, zest.
It would have been a good name for the show, but now I'm stuck with Varvet, which means work in Swedish.
Okay.
So Varvet International, find it on iTunes or acast.com/varvetpod, and I'm also Varvetpod on Instagram and Twitter.
Nice.
So yeah. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for stopping by. It's been an honor to meet you and all of that. And
Yeah, and this seems like a sort of legendary studio, so I'm thrilled to be here.
Wonderful. Well, we're glad to have you. Matt, what do you got coming up? What do you got? What do you want to shill?
Well, I'm at Matt Kirshen on Twitter and Matt Kirshen on Facebook and all those kind of things, and that's where you can find out where my gigs are. Probably Science is my podcast. That's probablyscience.com, Probably Science on iTunes, at Probably Science. And then I'm mostly in LA gigging for the moment, although I think if we have any Alaskan listeners, I'm going to be in Anchorage at Chilkoot Charlie's in the first or second week of April. Find me on Twitter and I'll tweet it.
Awesome. Yeah, we do have a couple Alaskan listeners.
Well, there we go.
So there we go.
Go to Coots.
Wherever you live, drive far to go see him, or drive close.
Yeah, or just walk
Or
if
walk.
you live just above the
Yeah.
building. I don't know, like just
They have a. I might be prejudiced now, but they drink a lot in Alaska, right?
I don't think that's a prejudice that anyone Alaskan would disagree with or be upset by. I understand anyone I've met from Alaska that anyway, whenever you gig, that's one of those ones. That's one of those insults to a town that they never take as insulting. Like, you guys drink too much, you get crazy. Like, yeah, we do.
Okay, yeah. Cool.
I like it.
If I can plug
Absolutely.
something
Yes.
more, I forgot that I have it's a huge thing for me. I have an interview with Bill Maher coming out fairly soon, somewhere in April, probably.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
So
Like on your show, where you interviewed him to be on your show.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
yeah, thank you guys.
That'll be a good one. He'll be a good one. Congratulations. on
I'd say
that.
so we should probably listen to a few other episodes of your show first to get the vibe of
That's a good idea.
get a feel for it.
Yeah.
Perhaps start by listening to the first ones with James Fry and Sasha Grey and yeah.
Nice. Wonderful.
Thank you guys.
Do all that, everybody. Check Matt out in Alaska when he's there, and continue to listen to this podcast and give us good reviews on iTunes and tell your friends to listen to it. As always, you can like us on Facebook. Today we learned with Razzle and Dan. You can follow Dan, who's missing in action today, at Osteoferocious on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at My Name is Razzle2. You can send us an email if you have a fact or trivia that you want to share, or a correction that I screwed up, because I do that a lot. Today we learned podcast at gmail.com. As always, drink Yule Must. Thanks, everybody. Thanks,
you.
guys. Thank you, guys.
Now leaving Nerdist.com.